Hello and welcome to the episode 183 of What a Fab Day. I am your host, Simon Mas. Today, we'll touch upon the recording of the second series of Pop Go The Beatles, a bit of police brutality, and the continuation of the work on Abbey Road. On the 2nd of July 1960, the Silver Beatles were again on the stage of the Grosvenor Ballroom in Wallasey. It seemed just another of the gigs the band had played every week in the last month, until British rocker Johnny Gentle entered the venue, unannounced. Gentle was having a rare Saturday night off, and, having been alerted of the Silver Beatles' engagement by their de facto manager Alan Williams, he decided to pay a visit to check them out. They already knew each other from the May tour of Scotland that saw the Silver Beatles back in Gentle, as detailed in episode 138, 140, 141, 143 and 145 to 149 of What a Fab Day. The surprise visit brightened the mood of the lads, and Johnny was courteous enough to perform a few numbers with them. The Silver Beatles featured George Harrison, John Lennon and Paul McCartney on guitar and voice, and Stu Sutcliffe on bass. 1 year later, in 1961, Pete Best, George Harrison, John Lennon and Paul McCartney began their trip back to Liverpool. They had just completed their second residency in Hamburg, West Germany, their longest in town. On this date in 1962, the Beatles, still with Pete Best on drums, played the Plaza Ballroom in St. Helens for the first of 4 consecutive Monday night engagements. 2nd of July 1963. After an average start, BBC Radio's program Pop Go The Beatles had been enough of a success to grant an extension of the initial run, with 11 more shows and a new host, Rodney Burke. Today, the Beatles recorded the first of these new episodes with Burke, also featuring Duffy Power with a Graham Bond quartet. The taping of the show took place at the Maida Vale Studios in London between 6:30 and 9:30 p.m. The Beatles performed That's Alright Mama, There's a Place, Carol, Soldier of Love, Lay Down Your Arms, Lend Me Your Comb, and Clarabella. 3 Cool Cats, Sweet Little 16 and Ask Me Why were also recorded today, but they were scrapped from the actual broadcast, which was aired on the 16th of July between 5 and 5:29 p.m. Knowing no rest, in 1964, the Beatles arrived in London at 11:10 a.m. from Sydney, Australia, after their month-long Australasian tour. In the afternoon, John and Paul attended a session in Abbey Road, during which Cilla Black recorded their song It's For You. George Martin produced the session, and both John and Paul tried to be helpful, offering advices on the arrangement. And since we are at it, I want to give you an advice too. Head to www.simonmas.com/support at the end of this episode and check out how you can support this podcast. Remember that you can make the difference even by just sharing this episode with your friends or offering a piece of your mind with a comment. Difference between what, you might wonder? Why, between me continuing to offer you music-related content or having nothing of the sort ever coming on your way for free. Think about it, and thank you for your support. On the 2nd of July 1965, the Beatles' European tour continued with a stop in Madrid, Spain. The Fab Four were on the stage at the Plaza de Toros de las Ventas for an 8:30 p.m. show. It was the first time they saw the police beating people up when their fans were a bit too enthusiastic, but then again, that's what you can expect in a dictatorship. 1 year later, in 1966, we get the continuation of another tour, the Beatles' last. The band, in Tokyo, had another 2 performances at the Nippon Budokan Hall, the last 2 in a series of 5. In 1968, between 6 p.m. and 12:15 a.m., work continued at the EMI studios on Good Night, with Ringo's lead and John, Paul and George's backing vocals overdubbed onto the basic track recorded on the 28th of June. The Beatles also recorded 10 extra takes of the song, the last of which was used by George Martin to produce an arrangement for orchestra and choir that would serve as backing for Ringo. One more session in 1969. Between 3 and 9:30 p.m., Paul, George and Ringo were again in Abbey Road to work on the Beatles' next album. Paul arrived first and recorded the 23-second acoustic piece Her Majesty for the long medley that was eventually going to occupy side 2 of the album. When George and Ringo arrived, the three started working on Golden Slumbers, recording 15 takes on piano, guide vocals, bass, played by George, and drums. In fact, the recording also contained Carry That Weight, which is indicated as a separate piece on the Abbey Road album sleeve, but that, evidently, saw its birth as the second half of Golden Slumbers. Most of the takes were incomplete and, as we will see tomorrow, an edit was needed to create the final rhythm track on which the band could keep on working. Meanwhile, John remained at the Sutherland Hospital in Scotland, recuperating after the car crash we covered in yesterday's episode. Check it out if you want to know more. And check out tomorrow's episode if you fancy to hear the beginning of the story between the Beatles and Philippines. I want once again to thank you for following me this far. With this episode, we got halfway through this series. I hope you have found the ride interesting and that you'll find the remaining shows even more thrilling. For the moment, I wish you a good day and a fab continuation. Simon Mas, music you love.